My new bike comes from the same country as Red Bull. It reminds me every time I turn it on that it's ready to race.
Flight 527 ready for departure.
It has a supermoto mode,
Autopilot deactivated.
is kitted out with WP suspension, and it's rather cute. In fact, I think it's the most adorable bike I've ever owned. But before I show you my new cute bike, I have an announcement to make. I've just launched a second channel called Reduced Chaos, so that I can share twice as many videos with you guys. The goal is to upload less polished motorcycle videos every Tuesday to that channel. So if you're interested, please check it out. So road bikes are back with a not so super Duke. It's a 2018 KTM 390 Duke and is practically brand new with just 3,000 kilometers on it. And from the right angle, I could easily fool you into believing that it is a Super Duke. I mean, I only realized it wasn't when I got home.
That can't be right.
But that does mean that KTM got the styling spot on. The headlight has sharp lines and super modern daytime running lights. You know it means business with its upside down forks. The orange trellis frame and white subframe contrast each other perfectly, and the shape of the tank looks awesome and feels snug between your legs while riding. It is only a single-cylinder 373.2cc engine, and that 0.2 of a cc is very important, so please don't forget it. And altogether, it manages to squeeze out a staggering 40 horsepower. Handguards were thought to be a good idea at some point in its life, and I've got to say that I'm not a massive fan of them, and I think they'd suit the CRF better than they suit the Duke. The overprotective previous owners also had the mindset to fit axle sliders and this orange cage for extra drop protection. And then they proceeded to only put 3,000 kilometers on it. But hey, I'm not complaining, they're good add-ons to have. It has KTM written in a minimum of 11 places on the bike, and even says KTM and Duke on the seat. The unique cut-open swing-arm design is probably more flexible and lighter, but I'm guessing it's a pain to clean. The rear axle is tiny, the front brake disc is hypnotic, and the fuel cap opens backwards for some reason. I do have to come clean that I've been that guy riding around on a road bike with a dirt bike helmet while I wait for mine to arrive back from the UK. But I think it kind of works with this little supermoto wannabe, and it could be worse. So this is my first ever European bike, first non-Japanese bike, first 400 and first KTM. A lot of firsts. But you're probably wondering why I bought a little 390 after having big sport bikes and nakeds for years. It is a turn in the complete opposite direction to what I'd usually go for, and I will explain everything in its own video. But what intrigues me more is why the 300 market is so popular at the moment. The one thing I think has changed in the last few years is how young riders go about choosing a beginner bike. The deciding factor used to be which looked the best, or most importantly, which bike made the most horsepower or had the highest top speed. Whereas now, I think technology plays a massive role in the deciding factor. And this bike does technology very well, which makes it rather appealing. For starters, it has a beautiful full-color screen that's bigger than my phone, and is all controlled from these buttons on the left handlebar switches. It can actually connect to your phone via Bluetooth, so that you could control your music while you ride, if you're into that sort of thing. You can also see your phone's battery level, and most importantly, you can see when someone's trying to call you. Not again. Honestly, valet, I've been dodging your calls all day. Just take the hint. And if you're a fan of dark mode on your phone, you'll like this dash, because it switches between light mode and dark mode depending on how bright your surroundings are. I'm also amused and entertained by its digital tachometer made to look analog, and it changes color throughout the rev range, encouraging me to ride faster than I planned on. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It has some very serious downsides too. I didn't want to be the one to have to tell you this, but you can't even fit a little Red Bull underneath its rear seat. Now this is a massive oversight from the Austrian company that so often collaborate with Red Bull, and a very compelling reason to go with the R3 over the Duke. And this ridiculous headlight switch massively frustrates me. It's pulled to flash your lights and pushed forward to turn on your high beam, which I always unknowingly bump with thick gloves on and ride around blinding people until I happen to glance down at my dash again. And you can't not mention this exhaust. Of course, a stock exhaust is never nice, but this one is just far too slim for the aesthetic of the bike in my opinion. It is way too quiet as well, but the tone of the exhaust isn't half bad at higher revs. Coming from bigger bikes, it is lacking in the speed department, but it most definitely isn't boring. Ultimately, it just comes across as a happy bike, kind of like an excited puppy. My dad had the older Super Duke for quite a while, and I got very familiar with that bike. And this really does feel like the scaled down version with a slightly more modern take and the same quality feel. The gearbox is super light, even if it does require a bit of finessing. And it's geared brilliantly thanks to being a naked bike, making it a blast around my local streets. But anyway, I am super excited to have two bikes that are completely different. Let me know what you think of this radical change and adorable motorcycle, and I'll see you on the next ride.